All right, guys, we're just waiting for a few more people to join up. We're going to be talking a little bit about this Lokar 6R80 shifter that we just got in. Been selling quite a few of these lately. It's a really neat option for anybody doing the coyote swaps in just about any application, whether it be a Fox body or an old F100, older Fords, hot rods, street rods, whatever the case is. And we just wanted to kind of give everybody an in-depth view as far as what this thing looks like, how it functions. So I'm going to be answering any questions you guys may have here for a short while and showing you the features on it. The shifter itself is from Lokar. They are made here in the United States. Excellent build quality from what we can tell. This is about the first or second one we've had in our hands here. It comes with a shifter cable that is specific to the 6R80, and I believe it shares with the 4L60E. They do give you a specific hardware package for the 6R80, which is going to have your lever, the ends to get the connection done between the shift lever and the shifter and the transmission. The bracket itself that mounts to the transmission is built into the cable. They give you a couple spacers in there as well with hardware to go ahead and mount it to the transmission properly. The shifter, this Lokar shifter, has been available before. When it was originally designed by Lokar, they designed it with only I think it was 4 positions on the shifter. So you see now here it's got park, reverse, neutral, drive. That's how they originally had it, and the plus and minus was part of drive, which unfortunately didn't work with a stock computer. In a factory shifter, you got it just like this: park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then sport mode. And when you're in sport mode, that's when you can hit the buttons on the shifter to go ahead and manually command your shifts in the sport shift mode. Well, Lokar recently did an update. We actually pointed it out to them early on, and they were able to go ahead and apply it to this new generation of shifter, and now we have it exactly how we need it, with park, reverse, neutral, drive, and sport. Now once you're in sport, all you have to do, let's focus here. All you have to do is rock the shifter over to the right. Here we go. And now we're in manual mode, where you can bump it forward for a positive shift, pull it back for a downshift. It's momentary, similar like what you see in a race car with like a bump stick. Those positions are being read by these micro switches in here, which wire right up to the select shift wiring that you find in our control pack for the 6R80 and the Gen 1. It can also be added to the Gen 2 6R80 control packs you find from Ford Racing. The shifter itself, like I said, has great shift quality. It seems to be a really robust unit. It's about 10.5 inches from tip to tip, about 5.5 inches from the base to about right here. It's only about 3.25 inches wide, so it's pretty skinny. So putting it into a Fox body, into an F100, putting it into an older Ford really shouldn't be a hassle, even to conceal it. I guess the only tough part might be this long leg here. A shifter boot typically is going to cover it in this area here, so you may have to do some custom stuff, or maybe mount these feet upside down and have that hang underneath the floorboard if you have the room. These little feet can be removed and flipped around. They can move forward. They can be put facing forward if you're going to go up against the floor firewall or something like that. So it's pretty adjustable, pretty expandable, and we like it. We got them on our website. They are starting at $369, and then there's different options from there. Most of the shifters you're going to find in the $369 price range are going to be 4, 6, and 8 inch shifter lever length. There are plenty of different options with Lokar for the shifter levers and the shift knobs. Now what you see here is a 6 inch single bend lever in the black finish with a mushroom knob. Now that's pretty standard. They also offer in a 4 inch straight. They have 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 16 inch handles. The 16 inch handles and the 12 inch handles you can actually get in a bench bend, where it has 2 bends in the shift lever to help get around bench seats that you find in F100s or even Galaxies and Falcons and stuff like that. The shift lever finishes, standard, you're going to get it in a polished finish with a machine knob. Now you can opt to get it blacked out. That is an option on the website when you select your shifter. And then you can choose your knob. Now there's, I think, 3 or 4 standard shift knobs that you can pick from. Again, this one is the mushroom style. You can also opt to get one of their deco style knobs, and the deco knobs are a little extra. They're about 30 or 40 bucks, but there's where you can find something that's a little bit closer to your typical manual transmission style shift knob. So if you're putting this into a Fox body as an example and you want to put a leather boot around it, it really just kind of looks like a short throw shifter, and you can then conceal it, and it really doesn't look too much different than what you would see in an aftermarket Fox, even though you got the 6R80 shifter underneath it. It's actually pretty trick, and we're looking forward to using them on some of the builds we have here and seeing some of our customers apply them. Again, the shifter is $369. It's available on our website. If you go in there under our coyoteswap products, under shifter accessories, you'll see it next to the Stifler's cross members, our own shift levers. Some of the other items you have are transmission cooler fittings, and then you'll find the Lokar shifter as well. The Lokar shifter, again, is made here in the USA. Really expandable, really a neat piece to finish off just about any of the swaps that the guys are doing these days with our product. Really just a solid piece. If you guys have any questions about it or want me to show you anything about it, you can go ahead and ask some questions now, or if you have any questions about coyote swaps in general. The shifters are going to be in stock probably in the next week or two. We don't have them on the shelf right now. All the custom units are coming in now. This one was a custom order. Took a couple weeks to get from Lokar. They had some issues with their anodizing facility, and they will be rectifying it very soon. Hey Paul, how you doing, bud? Thanks for checking in. I will point out real quick, on these shifters, you're going to see 3 bundles of this wiring. This micro switch right here is not going to be used in any of the wiring when you're using a stock computer. It can actually be unbolted and removed. You don't need it. There is also this switch right here, which Lokar puts in there pretty much as a general thing on their shifters for a neutral safety switch. Now with a 6R80, you don't need an extra neutral safety switch unless you want to use that for your own separate wiring. The transmission, when it is in park, that is your neutral safety switch. It can only start in park and in neutral. So automatically your computer is limiting the starting of the vehicle unless it sees the shifter lever down on the transmission in park or neutral. So you really don't need this when you're using it with a stock computer. You also don't need this micro switch right here. So it's a little trick there in case you get one, you go to install it and you're trying to figure out what's going on. Oh, it's okay, man. Come on in.
I apologize. I'm really sorry.
Someone was asking. Oh, what'd you get there? Coke?
Was asking? Yeah.
We had the first guy that hopped on said, "Where's YOLO?" He didn't care what we were talking about. He wanted to know where YOLO was. But as far as will it work in a Fox with a 6R80, absolutely. It shouldn't be too hard to do. I think the hardest thing is going to be getting it mounted in there and hidden in the console, which a leather boot is going to be the way to go to do that. We option all the leather boots from Lokar when you purchase the shifter. They come with different rings or collars, so you can mount the boot onto the shift lever here. So they have them in brush, polish, black, and you can get the black leather boot. They have it in a rectangular boot or round. Rectangular is going to work the best for a Fox body since our console openings on the Fox are rectangular. All that there, though, is going to be custom. It's not a direct bolt-in. It's not going to be something you just slap in there and reuse the factory holes. You're going to have to figure out the fastening of it, the mounting of it. You're going to want to specifically try to conceal this guy right here in the console or underneath the floorboard. Again, these feet right here can be removed, moved around, and flips upside down. You can aim them facing forward. They're pretty expandable and pretty custom. As far as Alex running this in the Fairmont, we're not sure just yet. It's possible. We were planning on trying to keep his factory shifter that's on his steering column, but the motor engine is coming in contact with the linkage as it comes out of the firewall. So if we can't modify that, then most likely you're going to see one of these in there, probably going to be a 10 or a 12 inch with a bench bend in it, so it'll clear the bench seat in it, because all race cars have bench seats. And it'll probably just be a standard Lokar shifter. We'll conceal it with a boot, maybe. He likes the way it looks. He likes it naked, which I don't blame him. It's a pretty cool looking piece. And at that point, he'll be able to use it with his Ford Racing control pack. As soon as he puts it into sport mode, it'll know it's in the sport shift calibration. It'll shift normally, just in the sport mode. And then if he rocks it over to the next position, he'll be able to downshift. He'll be able to upshift, whatever he needs to do. If he's roll racing, he can go ahead and put it in the whatever gear he wants to launch in. If he's on the dyno, he can lock it in a gear at that point and make the hit. It's a really nice, intricate piece to finish off any swap. It has factory floor shift. I don't know what that means.
What is factory floor?
Am I sure? Could I run that in my 71 Cougar? Yes. This is universal, guys. This can be put in anything. You want to put it in an airboat? I'll help you do it. It's very universal. It's not designed for any floor in particular. As you can tell, it's just a flat bottom. There's no contours to it, nothing that's going to be specific to any floorboard in particular. You just need to mount these feet. Do they have to be all mounted? No, you want it to be as sturdy as possible, but you also want to make sure that you have room for the transmission, room so you're not hitting the console, room where you're not going to be tearing the boot when you shift it. So keep all those things in mind when you go ahead and get everything set up. And as far as it being like paddle shifting, absolutely, it's very similar to it. The factory 13, 14 shifters had a positive and negative button right on the side of the shifter. It's just like that feature from the factory. As far as paddles, very similar. They're all going to work just like factory since we're wiring this right up to a factory computer. For wiring diagrams on how to apply that to your wiring harness, because there's going to be two different style of wiring for factory computers, Gen 1 and Gen 2. Just look on our website. Under the Lokar shifter, we have diagrams for both. We also have a pinout kit that you can purchase if you've bought a 6R80 control pack from Ford Racing. They don't give you the wiring for select shift. They also don't give you the pins to add it. We have a pin kit that you can purchase and then wire it into the factory connectors so that you can have select shift with the factory computer. Nothing has to be done to the tune. All that stuff's just there. It's just not wired in. And with our diagrams and that pinout kit, you can add it to that kit. Let's see, any questions? Yep, almost like it's just, yeah, it's very similar to paddle shifting. But well, we got 11 people on.
Yeah, 12 with me.
Oh, there you are. Say hi to yourself. How does that work with a Transbrake? Well, it's going to work just like a factory shifter. There's not going to be anything different that you need to do with this for any type of Transbrake, because you're going to be in whatever gear you're in. You're going to wire it up so when you can activate it with whatever switch and is it brake position?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that you can free spin the transmission and let it engage. So nothing with the shifter itself is going to factor into the Transbrake and how it's wired up. I don't have any shifters on the shelf yet. In about a week and a half, we should be getting our shipment. We're going to stock the 4-inch units. That seems to be the most popular one that we've gotten orders for. Anything outside of the 4-inch stem units, most likely it's going to be a custom build. I'm going to have the black and the machine with polish finish 4-inch levers on the shelf. And again, all the shifter kits come with the cable. The cable has the transmission mounting bracket. And it comes with all the hardware to mount it in to a 6R80 specifically, including the shift lever. So if you're purchasing this and maybe you already have our shift lever or our shift stop bracket, you're not going to need that stuff. So when you're ordering online, if you're going to get one of the Lokar shifters, essentially this is all you need. You don't need to purchase any of the other accessories that we have on there. Obviously, transmission cooler fittings still going to be a great option for you for hooking up a transmission cooler to a 6R80. Other than that, it's just a really slick shifter option for any of the projects that are out there. Fox Body, Fairlane, Falcon, Maverick, whatever you want to put it in. A Fairmont, oddly enough, it'll look good in.
I mean,
what do you think of the shifter, Alex?
I'm asking you right now. Oh, the shifter's nice. Where's it at? Is it over there?
Here.
I like. Did you show them how it toggles to the right?
Yes.
And it does the shift. Right?
Why don't you play with it a little bit there? Show them the mechanism.
So real quick.
So that's how. Imagine if it was mounted in the car. Most likely it'd be off to the right.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, not in your dickle area.
So do you have adjustable versions of the handle?
We do. Well, we can get up to 16 inches.
Wow.
And so can she.
Ew.
Just pull it back. Once you get it back all the way down, rock it to the right.
Oh, one more? Oh, that is all the way down.
That's all the way down. There it goes. Now you're in the manual mode.
That's cool. Look at that.
You're actually downshifting when you do that.
I mean, I put the switches backwards.
And that is something you can do, guys. You can
switch them backwards.
You can wire the switches however you like. So if you want it to upshift downward and downshift upward, you can wire it up like that. It's just a matter of hooking up that signal.
So is this a manual now? Because you're manually shifting?
It's kind of like...
it's super sturdy feeling, too.
It's like Ken Block's Focus RS, all his Hoonigan vehicles.
This is super sturdy feeling, too. It's not like... It's very...
It's not chintzy, man.
That's nice. And then just go back, and then you're in drive.
Yeah.
Reverse.
Once you knock it... Well, since you're in manual mode, even if you rock it back to the regular gate, you're still in manual mode. You have to push it up into drive to disengage manual mode.
Got it, because it's sport. All the way down
Correct.
to sport. Okay.
All the way down sport, and then drive is right above it. Question, can you still have manual mode with a column shifter? You can have manual mode with anything that puts the shifter lever in sport mode. So that means if you have a column shifter, you have to make sure that you have 5 positions. There you go, 5, just like the Wave. That 5th position is going to be sport mode. So the computer is not going to go into manual mode until you move the shift lever on the transmission into that position. Then it activates it. It's waiting for the signal. Until you complete the circuit on an upshift or a downshift, it does not do any manual shifting. It's going to keep shifting automatically. But it does so in a sport calibration. So the shifts are a little bit firmer, a little bit tighter. It hangs out the RPM a little bit more. It doesn't go into manual mode until you tell it to go either up a gear or down a gear. And if you're done with sport mode, all you have to do is knock it back into drive. Once you knock it back into drive, you're moving. So a lot of guys that roll race want to hold maybe 3rd gear, launch the car. We don't really recommend using the sport mode all the way through the run. What you should do is launch it in 3rd gear, and towards the top of that 3rd gear hit, knock it back into drive, let the computer do the work, because it's going to do it better than you can trying to go ahead and sport shift it. Thank you for the compliments on the hat. We actually just got some in.
One?
We do have black ones, yeah. Well, try that on for me. Here's the black PBH hat there. We're just trying these out to see if stoic, almost phallic. To see if guys like them. Might get some more made and put them on the site. If you think so, just let us know. Write us an email. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, whatever you want to do. You do look good.
Thank you.
So yeah, as far as shifters, you still have the option to use the components that we have. Our 4R70W style shift lever can be used with stock shifters. So if you have a shifter for a 4R70W, using a 4R70W style cable with our shift lever and a shift stop bracket, you can do the same exact thing. You're just going to wire your select shift switches separately, like with our rocker switch or 2 momentary buttons. Any 2 momentary buttons can be used. What's the measurement from the base to the top of the shifter, not including the handle? It's about 5. Let's see what my measurements were here. It's about 5 1/4 to 5 1/2 inches from the base all the way to here. Here's our ruler. So let's see here. That's from the base. So it's right about 5 inches. 5 inches, that's the tallest part on it. Now, that micro switch that we're measuring up against, that bracket, it's not actually necessary for this mechanism with the 6R80 with a stock computer. It may only be necessary with aftermarket controllers, but as far as we know, with like a US shift controller, you don't need to send a signal that you're in sport mode, and that's what that's originally designed for. So you'll see that micro switch is there. Once we rock it over, it opens that contact, sending the signal. So you don't really need it for our applications. It may be needed for a 4L60, which this shifter shares application with. So in fact, when you look at your shifter when it comes in, if you get it directly from Lokar, don't be alarmed. It'll probably say 4L60E on the shipping manifest. It's then there'll be a 6R80 hardware kit to make it 6R80 specific. So, do we install K-members? We do. Right now, we're really not booking any additional work here at the shop. Man, we've got probably about 6 months worth of work out there in the parking lot with different projects and R&D stuff that we're doing. So if you're looking for somebody local to get a K-member installed, call us. We'll let you know if we have availability. If not, we'll get you hooked up with somebody that we know can get the job done just like we could. So we make sure you're taken care of, make sure you're aimed in the right direction. The Red Fox is running. We got it running recently. That car has been a little bit delayed because it is a little bit of an R&D project. We're going to release some more information on it soon enough, but we were developing our manual transmission harnesses, our body harnesses on that car, and that car is a Gen 2 computer, and it is using one of our body harnesses. So it's taken a little bit to get things squared away on it. Between all the other work that we have here in the shop, but it is running. We got it fired up the other day, got it up to temp, everything's working on it. Now it's just a matter of going through and checking every single nut and bolt, making sure everything's tight, making sure all the fluids are good, and making sure everything's ready for the dyno, basically. Get the dyno done, then we're on the street driving, making sure everything feels good on the street, get alignment done, bleed the brakes, all that fun stuff. And then hopefully get hooked up with a customer. He lives on the West Coast, and we'll go ahead and maybe plan a track day. Their twin turbo Cobra is also done and ready for some dyno tuning. That got a methanol system recently, and we're going to be tuning that with Lund Racing, and we'll get things squared away there and get it back to the track and see if we can go a little bit quicker than 820. I have a coyoteswap Gen 1 motor. Gen 2 R VMP93 pump gas with that thing should get to the, what should it get to? You're asking me how much power it should make? Okay, Gen 1 motor, pump gas, Gen 2, I mean, pump gas, you can make up to 800, 900 horsepower with a Gen 2R, so pump gas is going to be a limiting factor on a Gen 1 motor. If it's a Mustang motor with that compression, I'd say pump gas, you're going to be tapped out about 650. Rear wheel horsepower is what we calculate. At that point, depending on how sweet the fuel is, you know, the NOx sensors are going to tell you when you're done. If it's a truck motor, those have a little bit less compression. They're also not as strong down low. So if you want to push them to the limit, try to keep it around 600 horsepower, and even that's kind of knocking on the door. But yeah, I mean, you could, if it was holding together, you could maybe run a little bit harder, but a little bit more power. They'll be harder to do since you have less compression. Made 570 horsepower. 570.
All right. Gas body. What boost?
What boost were you at 570? I mean, it'd probably have an 85 on it. 85 millimeter pulley, 8-9 pounds of boost would probably make about 570 if it was rear wheel horsepower. You can run an 82. 82 will give you 10 pounds. It should be safe on 93 octane. That's where you usually make about 600, 625, 8 pounds. Yeah, so I mean, that's about right for 8 pounds of boost. You could always turn that up or go to a smaller pulley, go to 82. 82 is about it. Don't venture into a 79. You're probably going to start knocking unless you got race gas or methanol or something like that in there. All right, well, I think we're good to go. Does anybody have any questions on the shifter again? This is the Lokar 6R80 shifter. Oh boy, converter question.
Okay, go ahead.
What stall should I go with? The same guy, 570 rear wheel horsepower, 8 pounds of boost. He's probably going to want something close to stock.
What's he want to do?
If it's going to be a street car versus a track car, that's going to be the big determining factor. If it's a street car, you really don't want a whole lot of stall. With a PD blower, you really don't want a whole lot of stall anyway, because we make so much power and torque down low that you don't really want to bring the RPMs up in there and give up some of that power. So it's a street strip car, probably 2C.
Yeah.
2C, and then you can kind of play with what RPM you want to launch it at the track. You know, if you got a good enough tire and suspension setup, I would say you're probably hovering that 3,200 RPM range, 3,400 RPM range. You don't want to go much more than that because it's going to be a hell of a shock to the system to either hold it to the ground and get traction or just to stay together in general. Because again, you got a PD blower. As soon as you're flat to the floor, you have all your boost. So I would probably recommend in that area. Don't be afraid to call the guys at Circle D directly and speak to them about your combination. When we order converters for our own projects here, we call Chris and Jelly of those guys out there, and we see in general what everyone's been using, what people have had success. They get a lot of feedback there, and when things don't work, believe me, everyone lets them know because they got a $1,200 converter that's not working for them. So we get a lot of input from them directly, and it's kind of based on what we've done here in the shop. What length shifter would you go with recommended? I would think a 4-inch, at max a 6-inch. The shifter levers are measured from this base here to about the middle of the shift knob, where the end of the rod is. So a 4-inch is going to be about there. Now, considering that the shifter base is about 5-inch, you're talking about 9 inches from the floor if you mount it flat to the floor. If you flip these upside down, you can mount it underneath the floor. Then you can bring it down. You may want a longer shifter. This bend here, I think, would be ideal in a Fox body, but they don't offer that bend in a 4-inch. This is only available in a 6 or an 8 and up. So keep that in mind when you're planning it out as far as making room for the body, and then see how high the shifter is going to be. You got 5 inches from the base to about here, and then from there basically up is the length of the shifter, and and the shift knob is going to be about midway at the end of the shifter lever. Oil on a Gen 2 NA 5W50. We don't use anything other than 5W50. The Motorcraft we've been using NA.
550 NA?
Yeah. Use a lighter oil? 050?
What it says on the cap, 520.
No. We always put 550 in it.
550? No. Yeah. It's Florida. It's different.
Yeah. There's a lot of factors that come into picking oil. I'll tell you, for years, in 4.6 engines, we would put Rotella, which was a 1540.
That's true. Right.
And the engines loved it because the thicker oils that you find for diesels aren't regulated as heavily as the gas engines. So they're allowed to leave some of the stuff, some of the phosphates and the minerals that they take out and replace with detergents in lighter weight oils for regular vehicles. So don't be afraid to go up on the oil. And listen, I have no scientific proof to go with that. If you speak to an engine builder, if you have a specific engine builder, use what they tell you to use. That way you don't have any issues. But in road racing, like I did, there was a big difference between a 5W20 or 530 Mobil 1 synthetic at the end of a weekend and a 1540 Rotella at the end of a weekend. 5W50 worked excellent in my Coyote motor. When I ran it, and it's a 14 GT motor. We are now using some of the Lucas product here, and we'll see how that looks after some of the cars come back for some oil changes and so forth. But if the cars can be used in a high-performance arena, I would recommend going with a 5W50. The Motorcraft stuff, I think it's excellent. That's what Ford recommends for Boss engines. There are differences between a Boss engine and a GT motor, but I don't think it's going to do anything detrimental to your motor. That being said, do whatever makes you feel comfortable. Whatever lets you sleep at night, use that, because that's what's going to matter. So if you have experience or good luck with Mobil 1, use it. I'm not going to tell you not to use it. We like the Motorcraft 5W50. It works great for us across the board. What time is it?
3:11.
3:11. All right, well, we got to get going. Got some orders to pack up. In fact, this shifter is going to have to go out to some friends of ours in Texas that have been waiting on it patiently. Thank you, everybody, for checking in. Thank you for the questions and watching the video. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit us up on the Messenger, DMs, Facebook, email us, info@pbhperformance.com. You can do that right through the website. You can call us here. We have Christian, Frank Pezzo, and me on the phones. We can answer any questions you guys have, get any orders placed, answer any questions on orders you already have. So thank you again for checking in. MFP, transmissions on the way to you. 6 months out on taking any new jobs. Yes, we're about 6 months out, pretty solid right now. That may change, but 6 months for sure. If you have any questions of that, again, call us, email us, let us know what you're trying to do, and we'll figure out what's going to be the best date to really aim for. You guys have a good one. Thanks for checking in. We'll try to do this again next week with any of the new products that we have in-house, and I think we're going to have a few new things to show off. I don't have it with me right now, or else I'll give you a sneak peek, but we'll get it out there to you. You guys have a good one. Thank you again. Hey, so Alex,